Welcome to another episode of The Change, where we introduce you to the people and ideas shaping the MENA region. Our guest today is a young and very ambitious corporate strategy professional who is working at the intersection of finance, marketing, and technology across multiple industries. Over the previous couple of years, since he started his professional career, he achieved quite a lot of cool things. He is one of the initial partners of Emaar's 25 program that we're going to talk a bit more during the episode. Emaar recognized him as one of 30 top performers 3 years in a row. He co-founded Profolio, a real estate crowd investing platform. He worked directly with Emaar's chief strategy officer on a long-term group strategy, global marketing strategy, and identifying new product categories for the group's expansion. He is currently holding a position of a strategy and digital innovation manager for Emaar International. Without further ado, I would like to welcome Mr. Kartik Raj Rewar to this episode of the Change podcast.
Thanks, Vuk.
It's a super pleasure to have you in this episode.
Happy to be present.
Thank you. So let's start about your path to the current role with Emaar, and later on we can talk about what exactly that means, but I would like to get a bit more insight in how did you ended up with Emaar, how did you ended up being in top 30 performers 3 years in a row, and how did you achieve all of this in such a short time span?
Thanks for that. So the story started when I was an MBA student. This was in 2017. And Emaar came to my university and they said, guys, we are starting a new program. It's called E25. We want to bring together 25 people under the age of 25 and create ventures from within the company.
Wow.
These ventures are intended to disrupt the industries that we operate in so that we disrupt ourselves before someone else does it.
Wow.
I was like, okay, that's very good. What's the
That's
job
a
description?
very cool offer.
And the answer was, you create your own JD. You are an entrepreneur. I was like, okay.
Wow.
Where do I sign?
So they literally offer you the opportunity to join one of the largest, well, what's the exact description of Emaar? One of the largest what?
We are the largest real estate and lifestyle company.
Wow. So the largest real estate and lifestyle company in the world. And they invited you to become an entrepreneur from inside. That's amazing.
It's the best of all the worlds.
That's an amazing opportunity. How did they pick you? Why?
I don't know the why. The how I'm familiar with. We had 2 to 3 rounds of eliminations and an interview. And I think they just liked me. To be fair, there were others very similar to me, so I can't really pinpoint one factor.
Very humble of you.
No, I think seriously.
So you ended up with Emaar. There was a lot of things going on and a lot of initiatives that you were involved in. You ended up with the role of digital strategy and digital innovation manager within Emaar. What that role exactly is?
So I have been very fortunate to have a boss who believes in me. And that's how I got the opportunity to work on this. Many of the things that I have been involved in are the 0 to 1 projects.
Wow. Yeah.
Basically starting from scratch and then developing into a concept and then handing over to the experts to take it forward, to scale it. And that's the kind of role that I enjoy. And I think I'm fairly good at it. I think I was really fortunate that people recognized that. And that's how I got it.
But it's super amazing to hear that that company of that size and size of the company brings a lot of barriers to being quick, agile, fast, innovative, and transformative. It's super interesting to see this kind of initiative happening.
Look, if I was still an MBA student, I'd tell you, yes, you have 2 kinds of companies, elephants and cheetahs, the slow ones and the very fast ones. Now, having worked here for about more than 3 years, I can definitely say that fast companies, which there are very large companies, which are extremely fast. And I'm fortunate that my company still works like a startup.
What are some of the major differences between large and slow and large and fast companies? What makes them so fast?
I think the large and fast companies are more decentralized.
Decentralized.
Yeah. So the number of hierarchical levels are few. It's a flat organization. So a flat company can be huge, but the depth needs to be small. So what I have observed and what has come out of many other talks is that for every company, the CEO to the lowest rung of the company, a lot of information gets lost because of resistance or friction. When you have a flat organization structure, that loss is minimal. So I think, at least in my firm, we are very fortunate that loss does not happen. If there is a decision or if there is a direction, it gets communicated to everyone, and that moves the company forward big time. And that helps us remain extremely fast.
Interesting. And I guess it's a big question, but the whole company culture plays a major role in that kind of organization. It's not enough to just do the talk. You need to walk.
Absolutely.
You need to walk the talk, right?
Completely agree. And Emaar has very skilled people, probably the best in this region, and their numbers speak for themselves.
Interesting. Okay, we'll talk a bit more about the industries that you are involved in and what you guys are doing at the moment. A bit more about you, and there is behind every successful individual there is a certain drive, some motivation, and something that excites you, so that pulls you forward, that keeps you pushing every day forward. What are the things that excites you the most with the things that you're currently working on?
So again, I'm lucky that my role allows me to work on ambiguous problems. I'm again extremely lucky that no 2 days for me are the same. I'm thankful for this opportunity, and the drive is that every day when I wake up, I know there will be some problem solving, and the tricky part is I don't know what problem will it be, and maybe that's where I get the energy from.
Wow.
Had it been the same problem every day, maybe it would have taken a different mindset. But I just love the way it's shaped up to be.
Wow. And usually those problems are coming out of where?
Business requirements.
From certain areas that you're focusing on?
Ad hoc business requirements can come from internal or external factors.
Can you tell me a bit more, like just any idea of the problems that you're working on the most these days?
That I won't be able to tell, but I can give you a framework.
Okay. Framework of how you approach problem solving.
Yeah.
That would be amazing to hear. Yeah.
So my problem solving approach is similar to how you learn a new thing.
Have you?
So my problem solving approach is very similar to learning a new thing.
Okay.
So at least in my role, solving a problem first requires me to learn or gather facts about it. And in most of the cases, these are industries or sectors that I'm not familiar with. As someone with barely any corporate experience, I need to focus my time and my energies on learning about the concept in a very short interval. So what I try to do is break it down into smaller chunks, focus on the most important 20% that gives me the biggest results, and then continue that practice. So over a period of time, you build that intellectual capital that you can then apply anywhere.
Interesting. So you are literally given the problem that you're absolutely not familiar with, coming from the industry that you don't have experience with, but they're betting on your logic and your skills, analytical skills, to solve the problem.
I would like to believe so.
Which is interesting. Super interesting. So as a group, you are involved in a variety of industries, and obviously we are going through times that are, let's say, tough. Talking about real estate, we're now deep diving a bit more about what's going on and the state of the industry. What are some of the major changes? And since you are involved in problem solving, there's got to be a lot of problems that are coming at your door now these days, especially given the situation.
Let's see. In real estate experts, I'm probably not in the first 99 percentile, but let's see.
Yeah. So, but what are some of the major changes that you noticed now in the real estate industry?
I would say a hypothesis is that commercial real estate would change and residential would remain the same. My personal opinion is that even if there would have been no COVID-19, the industry would have gone through the cyclical phase like it always does.
What are some of the, if you can kind of unpack that for me a bit more?
So residential always has a cycle. The homes that we live in, the homes that we buy or rent, the prices and rents, they have a 5 to 7 year cycle, and that repeats in every country across a time interval. That the period might vary from country to country. So since 2015, I think our cycle was at the peak in 2015.
In 2015?
Yeah.
And you said 6 to 7 years, right? So,
yeah.
Okay. All right.
And I think everyone who is involved in the sector recognizes this. Some companies like Emaar are well prepared, so it helps. But real estate in Dubai, I don't think it's going through a very bad phase. It's a new phase. It's an exciting phase, and like always, we'll come out of it.
But okay, obviously there are some big changes that are happening and different habits. There is going to be some new state, new normal going forward. Can you describe me what can we expect when it comes to real estate, and what are some of the trends that we will see going forward when it comes to, you talked about residential and the commercial and how this whole game will change. Is it going to change?
I think it would not really change for residential. For commercial, because the consumer behavior will change, so the businesses will have to change that. And when a business changes, commercial real estate automatically adapts to that. What would that look like? It's difficult to say. Maybe we would have different kinds of spaces. Maybe the office behavior will change. For instance, it's entirely possible that 2 years from now, when you go to your office building, the lift opens and it takes you to the floor where you want to go without any human interference. So the commercial real estate will have a new experience, but overall it would exist. It doesn't die down.
Yeah. Would you say that this kind of just accelerated the process of transformation that we were already on?
So you know more about me on this topic, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Commercial real estate, you are involved, right, in the research about other regions, right? You're working on the research on in this market as well, correct? So you're more informed than most of the viewers and me. But what would you expect when it comes to, there's a lot of people working from home now, for example. Some are saying they're never going to come back. You can see larger companies like Facebook or Twitter who are saying, okay, we're going to stay home until the end of the year. Are there any kind of projections of what we can expect then in 2021? Are the capacities that some large organizations are having in certain or occupancy of certain space going to reduce or stay the same or increase? Or?
I think the behavior will change. So let me give an example of how this is an opportunity. So Emaar has a co-working company called Let's Work, and I'm just advertising for them over here. So what Let's Work does is partner with restaurants and convert them into co-working spaces during the not so busy periods. And that has worked very well for the company and the founders. Going forward, I think companies that adapt to these situations before it actually happens will take the market.
Interesting. And we are in this region especially kind of introduced and aware of the brokers, and there is a lot of opinions about the brokers. But what future holds for the brokers? We can see already some startups coming into play that are kind of skipping that middleman. But what future holds for the brokers?
I think one of the lenses that we can take to solve this is look at markets which are slightly ahead of real estate and the region in terms of real estate evolution. So for instance, if I take the US market, agents are mandatory.
Agents are mandatory.
Why? Maybe that's how the sector evolves over a period of time. And because the project sizes are so huge, brokers are always there. Yes, they change. So we now have companies like Square in the States, which are changing the way people buy real estate. But even that is an experience driven both by local brokers at the extreme in-depth level. Basically someone from, let's say, a particular sector or a section in the city, and the tech enablement. In the UAE, I believe there is a new renting startup called Urban that I find promising.
Which part do you find promising about the startup?
I think just the idea that people are trying to solve this problem. So far, real estate has attracted very few prop tech startups till about 2015, after which there was a huge increase in the number of companies trying to solve problems. And the firms are solving all kinds of problems, starting from construction to handover to property maintenance. Yet the basic problem behind buying a unit or renting a unit rather has remained unsolved. And it's not just the Middle East. Across the world, there is no perfect solution to this. So to see that someone is taking steps to solve the rental space, it's a big thing. It's an ambitious program. And
it's a huge market here, right?
It's a huge market everywhere.
Yeah, but especially in the country where you have so many expats and people who are not really staying here can't plan long term. Probably this is more emphasis here than in some other markets. Obviously, everywhere is a big opportunity, but especially here, right?
The opportunity is big. However, I believe that with things like this, it's very scalable. So if I do this right in New York, I can do that right in Dubai, in London, everywhere.
Yeah, no, that's true. And you're familiar with the concept of housing as a service, right? What do you think about it?
I think it's a utopian idea that we will achieve very, very soon. Only in the last couple of years have people started talking about it.
I think for the sake of the listeners, would be interesting to describe a bit more what is exactly housing as a service.
Sure. So today, if you want to order food, you go to Zomato.
Yeah.
If you want to get entertained, you switch to your Netflix. And for all of these, you pay a subscription fee. It could be per use or per month, per week, whatever. Similarly, imagine if you had something for your home, where you can subscribe to a service, and everything would be taken care of. For instance, your daily course, what you want to eat, your electricity bills, your water bills, everything that you hate about your house, everything that takes away your time and your energy, if that was solved for, it would leave you much happier.
So we're talking about Wi-Fi, electricity,
Absolutely.
Water, heating, AC, even food to a certain degree, I guess, that can be connected, integrated with transportation.
In fact, I would take it a step further and say it would also decide the people who are living around you. So if I give you a community of individuals who have similar tastes, similar passions, you would find that your life is much more fun.
Probably.
And productive.
I don't know, probably for my previous 6 or 7 years in Dubai, I don't know if I met a single neighbor and actually developed a relationship with my neighbor. So I don't know, is it me or just the state of the...
I think that is changing. So Emaar has a product called the Collective.
Okay.
And to me this sounds extremely awesome. What this does is, it's a step towards housing as a service, where you buy units, and so these are units without common facilities like kitchens.
Okay.
But you get a huge common space.
Okay.
And as a community, people come towards to build things. And those experiences are what give actually housing as a service its value.
So you guys are currently working on the project, or it exists already?
It exists.
So you can rent like a room And they have a common living room with kitchen and bathroom.
Yeah.
Where is that?
I think again we are ahead of our times.
Oh,
it's in Dubai Hills Estate.
That's in as a part of Dubai Hills Estate. What's the name? One more time.
Collective.
Oh, Collective.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna check that out.
Thank you.
That's interesting. And that's falling into the whole idea of us living in the future on the subscription model instead of the
it's convenience
owning model.
Yeah. And it helps everyone, right? It helps the developers, it helps the person who's living over there. If you want to buy, it helps you also.
Airbnb is in trouble at the moment, but like companies such as Airbnb, are they looking into similar models, try to expand their business? Or
I think Airbnb is looking at everything post-COVID.
Yeah, definitely. And we mentioned Airbnb, the startup, very rich startup, but startup landscape in this region when it comes to real estate, how does it look?
It looks promising. So like any exponential curve, if you take it, we are at the starting point, where if you would look ahead, you would see it's all flat, but it would shoot up very rapidly. I think we are just a couple of years behind UK and the leading place for PropTech startups. And the Middle East would catch up very, very fast because of the market size and the fact that there is no player so far, and that attracts people from around the world.
There is no
established startup in the space. Still.
What makes us a couple of years behind UK? Are there already established startups in the PropTech field that are doing well, or this whole ecosystem is developed? Can you tell me a bit more about that?
I think just by virtue of the concentration of problems and talent, this happened, and that is changing very rapidly. So once we have thought leaders, this is the next obvious step.
Okay, I see. So VC funds that are around, what are they currently looking for? What areas are they focusing? If someone is like watching and thinking about the next big thing that they want to come up with, where should they put their focus on? Where would you bet? If you have to invest blindly in some area, where would you invest now?
So I'm not a VC. I'll just take a guess.
Take a guess. It's an educated guess.
Hopefully. I think they're looking for companies that give people back their time in whatever form possible. So any venture that solves for convenience and gives the customer back a few hours of his day will strike it big.
Okay.
So gone are the days when the only focus was personalization. Now it needs to be efficiency and convenience and personalization. You need to tick all the boxes.
All of the boxes. All right. So describe me next unicorn startup of 2030 in PropTech.
Okay, start noting.
What would that startup be? What kind of problem would that startup solve, and how would it look?
I think it would solve the property purchase and renting problem.
Property purchase and renting. Okay, we need to unpack that a bit more. If we need to elevator pitch this to the VC, what kind of problem that users are facing?
I can help you find your ideal property in 120 seconds.
You can help me find my ideal property in 120 seconds. Well, that sounds promising. I
think this is not original, by the way. This has been used a number of times. A number of different companies are working on this, and I think we'll see some interesting results.
And I can buy it with cryptocurrency. Fingers crossed. Kartik, super insightful conversation. Thank you for coming. I hope that you all enjoyed, that you pick up some good ideas. If you have any questions for Kartik or me, please leave them in comments. We're going to make sure to reply. And stay tuned until next Monday and our next episode. Thank you, everyone. Bye.